Welcome to The Payment Space, a podcast by ePayResources. In our inaugural episode, we talked to Jeff Foote, ePayResources President and CEO. Welcome to the first episode of ePay's new podcast. I'm Anne-Marie Leek, Vice President of Communications for ePayResources, and we are very excited to have this new digital channel to introduce our thought leadership content, as well as help you get to know our staff and our expertise. Today, we are very excited to welcome Jeff Foote. We want our members to have this opportunity to get to know you a little bit, Jeff. So welcome.
Great. Well, thank you, Anne-Marie. And hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be on board, wonderful to be at ePay, and I look forward to meeting many of our members and clients in months and years to come.
Thank you, Jeff. So you just got back from a big trip to Alaska. Tell us about that, and how did it compare to other vacations you've been on? Because I know you travel quite a bit.
I do like to travel. So as a boy, most of our vacations, and I found a lot of people tend to have the same story. Most of our vacations tended to be to visit people, and these were people that we loved, our family primarily. But I've discovered this wonderful thing a little earlier in life that I love going places and seeing new things. I do love visiting my family, but I also like vacations where I love natural beauty, and I love experiencing new places and new cultures and new everything. So we got back recently from a trip to Alaska. I think this is the third time I've been to Alaska. I think it's one of the prettiest places on earth, particularly during the summertime. And I look forward to going each time. We go to different places each time, and got to experience some cool things that we haven't been able to see in the past in terms of wildlife and some things that were a little bit more prevalent this time. So it was a great trip. Always good to get home, but it was a great trip.
So what was the most exciting wildlife sighting?
Well, we got to watch as bald eagle sat in his perch in a tree for probably 45 minutes or an hour. He swooped down a couple of times out of the tree into the nearby ocean, caught a fish, went back up. We got to see him eat his catch up in his nest, and wow. And just kind of seeing that whole thing play out right in front of us was pretty amazing. We saw a number of eagles, but seeing that one bird for that length of time we counted ourselves lucky.
That is amazing. What was your vantage point compared to where the eagle was?
Well, we used binoculars. You could see him with the naked eye, but things were a lot clearer with binoculars. We were probably 200 or 300 yards from where he was perched up in the tree. But we just watched and eventually walked over to the tree itself, and it was amazing. He stayed right there until we got right up to the base of the tree, and then he decided we were a little bit too close and flew off. But he put on quite a show for us.
Wow, that is thrilling. We always love wildlife sightings on our vacations. That's always a highlight.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, when we first met back in our all-staff meeting in Dallas, I immediately noted that you have a broadcaster's voice. And then I found out that kind of plays into what you wanted to be when you grew up. And might I add, we'll probably have you as a frequent podcast guest since you have such a natural voice for it. But tell us that story of what you wanted to be when you grew up.
Well, Anne-Marie, I'm a sports fan and have been since I was a young boy. And I guess I grew up particularly watching and listening to baseball. And so I suspect this isn't an employment fantasy of myself alone as a boy, but I grew up with Kurt Gowdy and Tony Kubek and Joe Garagiola and oh gosh, Milo Hamilton, a lot of the great, what I term baseball announcers. I know they did things other than just baseball, but that's where I thought, boy, how cool would this be? I get to go to baseball games and be a sportscaster, and sportscasting generally just seemed like a really wonderful, glamorous life to me, and that's kind of what I grew up wanting to be. As I got into high school, I sort of that morphed a little bit into, well, maybe I'll just be a journalist, more of a general. And then as I got into college, the realities of falling in love, getting married while I was still in college, and a few other realities kind of came home, and I decided maybe there were more reliable ways to support a family than trying to get into sports broadcasting. But that was my boyhood vision for what my life would be.
I think you're right. I think that's a vision shared by many, many children.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
So you wound up in banking. And
I did.
You have the unique perspective of you've also been a longtime member and board member of ePay. So tell us a little bit about your career and that particular perspective.
Well, having told you what I wanted to be when I grew up, when I actually did grow up, I count myself really fortunate to have spent the bulk of my career in community banking in Central and South Texas. I actually lived a year and a half or so in Dallas right out of school, and went to work. I like to tell the story. I accepted a job offer with M-Bank Dallas. By the time I actually went to work for them, the organization was known as Deposit Insurance Bridge Bank. And by the time my 90-day review came up, I worked for Bank One Texas NA. So I saw in my first very few months in banking the results of what can go wrong in the industry back in the 1980s. But it also opened up some wonderful opportunities to me. And a couple of years into my credit training program, I had a chance to move to San Antonio and accept a position with the company down there, which I did. And then a few years later, I joined Broadway Bank in San Antonio, where I spent 27 years in helping to lead that organization. For those that don't know, Broadway Bank is I guess nowadays about a $5 billion community financial institution, commercial bank, headquartered in San Antonio, and really serving various parts of Texas. The way I got associated with ePay many years ago, I learned of ePayer at the time called Swatcha, another payments association, is I managed all things treasury solutions for Broadway. And so that entailed a lot of payments questions and rules and policies and risk documents that we had to oversee. And so as I got more and more into that, I'd say it's probably 20 plus years ago that I discovered the beauties of a payments association that bankers and credit unions can use as partners to help educate and empower us, and that was back in those days, as a member institution. So from those beginnings, I became aware of the value of what Swatcha or ePay offered, and then over the years, I had opportunities from some additional interactions, conferences, and such. Eventually was asked to serve on their board, and then had an opportunity here earlier this year to actually join the organization as president, as you mentioned earlier. So that's sort of my career in a nutshell, really centered around payments, but from the viewpoint of a banker and the viewpoint of our clients.
Wonderful. We're very excited to have you on board in a leadership role, especially having that perspective as both a member and a board member. And your family must be very excited about this next step in your career as well. Tell us about them.
They are excited and supportive. The move back to Dallas has entailed some separation of my wife from her grandchildren. So there is a little bit of melancholy, but this is a really wonderful, exciting opportunity for us, and we're already finding that Grandma and Grandpa's house will be the subject of many road trips for those that are still in San Antonio or other places and want to come visit. So, but we do have a large family right now. Moved to Dallas with just our 16-year-old and my wife and me and our dog. But we have a large family, 8 children, 9 grandchildren. So we're and we all live in Texas at this point. With those that have gone away for school or what have you have moved back. So we count ourselves fortunate to be in fairly close proximity to one another.
Fantastic. Well, yes, new place for new memories to be made, right?
Absolutely. New adventures. We're an adventurous family, as I talked about earlier.
Really?
We like trying and doing new things. This was a big one, but what an exciting opportunity for me and for the family.
Well, you were a really good sport at our July all-staff meeting. You let us do an Ask Jeff Anything session, and there were quite a few questions that you accommodated, and you even made a point of coming back, I think, the next day and addressing some we didn't have time for the first day. But I was particularly impressed and intrigued by your answer about what kind of music you listen to. And I was really impressed that I believe you said you have over 250 songs on your Spotify list.
Yeah, I mean, that's not really that many, Anne Marie, to be honest with you. I know people with thousands, but I tend to be kind of picky about the things I put on my Spotify likes. I will tell you something now that I'm not sure I mentioned back in at our all team meeting. My family all gives me a hard time because I do have a couple of playlists that I've developed, but those are for kind of special one-off kinds of things. Most of my music just sits in my likes, which makes it impossible to share through Spotify and drive my family crazy. But what it does for me is it just gives me a wonderful mix of music. I don't like any one kind of music. I have favorites through probably all genres. And I pick the favorites, and they all go on my like list. And so if you drive around in the car with me, you might be just as likely to go from 70s rock to 2000 something country to Irish folk songs, and all one right after the other. And that's the way I just like variety. And if it's good music, I don't really care what genre it fits in. And again, like I say, my kids tell me I'm crazy, but that's my little quirk when it comes to my favorite music.
Adventurous in music, just as in life, right?
I suppose. I've never thought of it that way, but maybe so.
I think so. Well, to wrap up today, I wanted to note that ePay is approaching its 50th anniversary in 2024. And ask you what excites you the most about reaching that milestone and our continued evolution, particularly in light of your perspective as a member, a board member, and now as president?
Well, I love this question, and as selfishly, I love the timing of having joined the organization kind of on the verge of that incredible milestone. Any organization that has not just survived, but thrived, as this organization has for almost 5 decades, there's one thing I guarantee you, and that's change. The organization, whatever the initial vision was 50 years ago, and I don't know what that precise vision was, but I promise you that the organization has had to respond to change on many, many occasions, and to do so well over the years. If you just look at the industry as a whole, technology plays so much more of a prevalent role in everything. In fact, your phone, this is a financial institution to most consumers and businesses. And if you'd have told me that 20 years ago, I, like most bankers at the time, would have chuckled that could ever realistically happen. But it's happened, and that's just one version of change. And so, like any organization, this organization has moved from an organization with a fairly narrow focus, primarily ACH rules focused, to something much, much broader than that, where we renamed ourselves a number of years ago to get away to acknowledge the obvious, that we were no longer an ACH-centric organization, although we still have great expertise in that area, but that we really are focusing on all things payments, and the recognition that, as new payment rails emerge, RTP, FedNow, as technologies continue to morph into, whether it's in cards or in instant or real-time payments, whether even, yes, checks are still around. We long for the day when they'll vanish forever, but the truth is they're not going to, at least not in this country anytime soon. And the exciting part is that ePay has found a way to stay relevant and updated, and to continually provide value and find new forms of value to provide our members as the years have rolled by. And what being in business for 49 years or so at this point really indicates to me is that we've gotten pretty good over the decades of adapting to change. And I think that's does that guarantee us anything for the future? No. We have to stay on our toes, and we have to seek to be even better tomorrow than we were yesterday. All of those things that I know banks and credit unions all know all too well. But it does tell me that we have in our DNA the propensity for figuring change out. And that's one of the things that excited me most when I joined the organization, and really excites me about the future, not just of ePay, but of our members, banks and credit unions primarily, and others that we serve throughout the country.
Thank you so much, Jeff. We really appreciate your time today and the opportunity for our members to get to know you a little bit better. And you're guaranteed we're going to have you back as a frequent guest.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. Always open for a conversation, Anne Marie. And again, can't wait to get out and meet more of our members.
Thank you so much, Jeff.